Oh, thank you for having us. This is great.
Awesome. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Brianna. We're excited. I know we booked this before the holidays, and then we kind of took a little downtime over the holidays. We've been doing a lot of different workshops, live workshops, just like this, a lot of pre-recorded workshops. Like some of you, we've definitely pivoted our business in the past 10 months for sure, and this has become a big part of it. But this is our first one of the new year. We've got a couple more lined up this week, so we're excited to kind of break the ice again. If Angela makes any mistakes along the way here, you'll understand why that's where that came from.
And one surprising fact you
Aaron
should
will
know.
make the mistakes, first of all. I will be the one making the mistakes.
Everybody automatically thinks that I talk a lot, but he's actually the talker. So I just thought I'd lay that right out there right off the get-go.
I don't know. You guys can decide as we go along. Thanks so much for joining us. I know it's been a kind of a busy, hectic time, and depending on the type of business that you have, you're kind of trying to figure out what does that look like these days. And I know for us, that's been a big part of it. As Barb mentioned, Angela and I have been making business videos, making videos for our local organizations. We've worked with Trendval and Small Business Center in the past. And that's certainly changed in the past 10 months. One of the other things that we've done over the years that we really enjoy is making documentary films. All of that stuff basically ended on March 15th. We stopped doing all of that stuff because of the pandemic, because of the restrictions in place, just because of concerns, wanting to make sure that we were healthy and that we were doing our part to keep other people healthy. But one thing that came out of that for us is we had already started teaching small business owners how to make videos themselves, and especially with their phones. And we were doing some live workshops. We did some at the Small Business Center, the Quinte Sports and Wellness Center. One of the things that we've been able to do through this is teach a lot of other business owners how to do this. And because we're doing them online like we are now, it's great to be with a lot of folks that are right here in our area. But we've had a chance to teach people from all over the U.S., some people even in Europe and that type of thing. And that's been really exciting for us, and something that we hope you're going to be able to take that experience today and learn from that as well.
Yeah, and we totally get, like, being filmmakers, we're always on the other side of the camera, or we were always on the other side of the camera. Yeah. So for us to pivot and start putting together an online course, of course, we had to be on this side of the camera. So that was a big adjustment for us. And it is a little, I would say, unnerving, a little, you get a little shy, or you kind of lack the confidence a little bit to get on this side of the camera and talk about something that you're doing, your business. And especially when you get into editing yourself, you look different on camera, you sound different to yourself on camera, all those sorts of things. But, just stick it out. It gets better the more you do it. And it's so beneficial. And we're going to talk a lot about the benefits of video and why it's so powerful, especially right now in this day and age, because everybody is wanting to feel that human connection, right? And video is the best way to get that out there, because we can't be with people right now. So, and even moving forward, when restrictions are lifted and you can be with people, it's still a fantastic way, and it's still going to rule through social media outlets, video, to get your message across.
Yeah, we're going to show you some tips today that are going to hopefully help make this a little bit easier for you. One of the things that we always say is video is a little bit tricky, and there's some hurdles that you got to jump to get using it, but it's worth it. You will see an unbelievable growth in your business, and we're going to show you an example in just a few minutes where we've been able to really see that work right here in our own local region. And we're going to show you, if it works in this example, it's going to work for your example too. And so stick with us. We're going to go through. We got about just a little under 2 hours. We're definitely going to take questions along the way. So if you have questions, as you have them, type them in, wave your hand, let us know. Otherwise, we'll definitely have some time at the end as well for questions. We'll stick around and hopefully get those answered for you. So without further ado,
yes,
there's always a lot of ado.
There's always a lot.
There wasn't that much ado today. Whoa, what's happening
here?
There's
ado with you.
Our PowerPoint has gone spinning out of control. Okay, so our objective
Let's not get ahead of ourselves
today.
Yes, today's objective then is to give you the confidence to create and share high quality videos about your business. And we're going to do that today.
And we are going to do that today. And here's how. So the things that we're going to cover. First thing, we're going to talk just a little bit about why video and why video is so powerful and why you're going to be able to grow your business, how you're going to be able to grow your business with video. And obviously you're here today, so you already have a pretty good idea that video is going to be a helpful thing for your business. You already committed this time to spend with us and learn a little bit more about that. We're going to talk about the key to a great story. And that's one of the challenges that we find a lot of people face when they're making video, is people say, hey, you got to tell your story. You got to tell your story. And that sounds great. But what if you don't know how to tell your story? What if you don't understand how to do that? Or what if you're going, I don't think I have an interesting story? Well, first thing we're going to tell you is you do. You have an interesting story. That's what's gotten you where you are. And when you can share that with other people, you're going to give them an opportunity to connect with you. And that's going to make a big difference for that.
Definitely. We're going to talk a little bit about the tools of the trade. So there are some things that you need to help increase the quality of your video. So we're going to talk about a few of those. Also attracting viewers. So once your video is done, what are you going to do with it, right? So obviously you need to put it on social media to get it out there, to get people to see it. And we're going to talk about the proper ways to implement that and to get people to see your video.
Yeah,
and to know who you are.
You're going to throw a great party, you might as well invite a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And especially for you as a business owner, invite the right people. Invite the people that are most likely going to be interested in what you're doing and get excited about that.
Yeah. Now, I know a lot of people think that videos are hard to do, time consuming, that sort of thing, but we're going to show you, we've distilled everything down. So we're going to make videos made easy, or easier. That's probably, maybe we should change that to reflect the easier, because we're not going to tell you that it's easy. We are going to tell you it may be easier than you think. And that's one of the challenges that we try to help people understand, is that we spend a lot of time, thousands and thousands of dollars, hundreds and hundreds of hours, maybe even into the thousands, learning different ways to tell stories with video. Believe me when I say we've spent a lot of money, we've wasted a lot of money, we've bought things that we didn't need, and those kinds of things. And what we want to do is help you kind of get past that. Sometimes people just need sort of permission or a bit of an idea of how to do it the right way. We're going to give you a little bit of those today. And spoiler alert, you can do this with your phone. And that's exactly what we're going to show you today, that this is definitely something that you can do. And if somebody's telling you that you can't make a professional quality, high quality video with your phone, they're flat out wrong. Are there places where you could better be suited with a DSLR or with an expensive video camera? Absolutely. If you already have one and you already understand how to use it, then it's probably going to be easier to make good video with that. But if you don't have one and you don't want to invest that money, and more importantly, invest all that time in learning how to use it, how to edit it, how to do all of those kinds of things, we're here to say that the camera that you use to make your videos is pretty far down the list of importance in the quality of the video that you're going to make. Yeah, so the great thing about your phone, you already have it, right? And the chances of you knowing how to turn on the camera and turn on the video and press the record button are extremely high. So you are already like a quarter of the way there, right? Yeah. So you already know how to do that. And with just a couple of tools, a few techniques that we're going to talk about, and talking about how to get the story out of you, and then bang, you're ready to go. Yeah.
One of the things that I love too is Barb and Brianna, they have set this up for you. They're going to bribe you to doing this. They're going to say, hey, listen, if you make a video, 1 to 2 minute video, and you submit it between January 14th and February 4th, you got a chance to win all kinds of really cool prizes, including some cash. So they're bribing you, in my opinion, to say, hey, I might as well go ahead and make a video. So
what better incentive?
Why not do it, right? Yeah, exactly. And you follow some of these tips, and I think you're going to have a real inside edge on winning. So there you go. Yeah. Good reason to do that. So why else? Why video?
Why video? Well, video combines images and movement and audio. It conveys emotion. So it tells a visual story.
Yeah, and that's something that it's such a critical thing to help people understand. When you communicate with people by text, or when you communicate with people by an email or a telephone call or any of those kinds of things, there's pieces that get left out. Even when you have a face-to-face conversation, there are things that get left out. Did you remember what you wanted to say, how you wanted to say it? Did you have a little theme music playing in the background to set the tone? Did you have some other images playing behind you that could kind of show that off? That's what video does, right? It helps you tell that. How many times have you had a text with somebody and you kind of misunderstood their meaning, right? You didn't, maybe there was some sarcasm and you didn't get it, or maybe there wasn't sarcasm and you thought it was. We've kind of run into that in the past. Those are all things that can hurt your ability to communicate. And when you're a small business owner trying to communicate with people that you hope are going to come and spend some money with you, then you can't afford to have that miscommunication, or you want to have as little of that as possible, right? So that's a big part of what we're going to show you here. So one of the things that we love to share are these amazing stats about video and why you should be using video, and they just go on and on and on, and there's tons of them. Like, video gets you this, video gets you that, all this kind of stuff. And this all is going to support what we say. Of course, it's kind of self-serving that way. But basically, the whole thing boils down to what we think are these three very important numbers when it comes to marketing your business with video. And the first one is that 72% of customers would rather learn about a product or service by way of video. So HubSpot said this. They actually said this in 2018. So you can imagine in 2021, especially what's happened in the past 10 months, that number 72% is absolutely higher than that. We just don't know how much higher it is yet.
Yeah, so 95%. So viewers retain 95% of a message when they watch it in video compared to 10% when reading it in text. That is huge. Again, that goes back to what Aaron was saying earlier about missing something in a text or not getting the correct message from it. If you're hearing it right from the person when they're talking in their video, you get it, you retain it. It's visually stimulating, so you tend to listen, I think, more, right? And that backs that up when you can see what's going on.
Holds your attention. And finally, this one's the one that we love, especially when we share this with other small business owners like us. 49% of marketers who use video grow revenue faster than each year than those that don't. So if you want to grow your business faster, there's no better way to do that than with video. And we're going to show you exactly what that means and how you would do that and how you can use these videos to do that. But the key is, of course, making a video that's going to convey a message that people care about and getting it in front of those people and making sure that they see it.
Right. And we have firsthand knowledge of that business growing 49%. Actually, she grew higher than 49% by using video. So we're going to show you an example now of a video that was done with a phone. And this is actually Erin's mom. She opened up a little store in Sterling called The Studio in Sterling, and a couple of years ago. We did a video for her before she even opened, actually, just a get to know you video. What is The Studio in Sterling? How did this come about? And it got lots of views. She had opening day, like $1,000 worth of sales just in that opening day. And all she used was video.
Yeah, and when you say lots of views, that video had somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 views, spent about $100 on Facebook and Instagram to market that to her kind of ideal target in the region. And it absolutely crushed it. But yeah, that was the big thing was, hey, it's great. People are seeing it. You know, a view on Facebook, for if you don't know, counts as 3 seconds. So you might go, well, who cares if people only saw 3 seconds of my video? But as you kind of go down the numbers, 20,000 people saw 3 seconds of it, but 4,000 or 5,000 people watched most of the video. They watched a minute and a half to the full video, which was a little over 2 minutes. That's big, right? That's a lot of important numbers because those are all people that are the most interested in what she does. And when you look at the numbers, you get to see things, and we're going to show you this, you get to see things like who's looking at it, like what age group, males, females, where are they? Those kinds of numbers that are really going to help you narrow down and pick the right people, make sure that the right people see it.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Obviously, this is one of our favorite examples because it's my mom. And, you know, when she came to us and said, hey, I need help with getting this business started, we were emotionally involved in helping her have success with that. But one of the great things about it, though, is she's also been completely transparent with us on the numbers. So we know the sales numbers. She asks people that come in, how did you hear about this? What made you come in here? And time and time and time again, it's the It's Facebook, especially the videos on Facebook, and done in the way that we're going to show you today.
Yeah, there was a few months there where there wasn't a video done, and you can tell now that once she reopened after she was shut down for COVID, there was a video out there every month, and increasingly every month her sales got better and better and better and better. So she had the best October she's ever had in the past 2 years, the best November she's ever had, and the best December. And December she actually closed up earlier before the holidays. So that just goes to show you that's all she's doing is just video, and people are really looking forward to seeing those videos. And they tell her that, when's your next video coming out? Like, what's your next video going to be about? That sort of thing. So she's
kind of become a little celebrity
up there,
yeah,
I think so.
Which is fun for us. So we're going to show you an example here in just a second. But one of the things, another reason why we love using this example, especially with small business owners like you, is it also illustrated a very important point to us, which was, if my mom or any other small business owner was hiring a video production company to come and make these videos for her and paying $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000, then trying to get this kind of return on her investment would be really difficult, because for these videos to work, especially if you're using them on Facebook, Instagram, on social media, you have to put out more than one. Like one video a year, or one video every 6 months, or one video every few years, like we've seen a lot of people do, is just not going to cut it, because it's not going to get you any momentum. It's not going to keep viewers viewing. Now, when you put your video on your homepage or your chamber page or anywhere else, then obviously anybody that's interested in your business, they're going to come and they're going to see that. But if you want to get your business in front of people and you want them to see those videos regularly, then social media is the best way to do it. The challenge is it's only going to work for so long, and then Facebook or whatever platform you're using is going to go, okay, everyone that cares about this has seen it, let's move on and we'll stop showing it as much. So that's where you want to have that next video and the next video. And as soon as we started implementing that monthly video plan, it made a whole lot more, got a whole lot more results. But it doesn't make sense if she's paying us $2,000 each time to do those videos. Now, depending on your business, maybe it will. Maybe the return is still going to be strong enough for you to do that. But that's a big reason why we really pivoted our business to show people how to make these videos for themselves. Because what we found is the videos that, obviously we would create videos for businesses all the time. That was our business. And when we did that, we would try to make a video that was an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. And those are great. But most people, to get the impact that you need in your business, if that video is a 7 out of 10, that's going to be great. And with the tips that we're going to show you today, you're going to be able to get there. And that's going to be enough to get them moving forward. It's going to be enough to accurately represent your brand and get people excited about your business.
Yeah. So this video that we're going to show you right now is when Jean reopened in June after the COVID restrictions were lifted the first time. So she reopened in June, and she just wanted to let people know that the store was going to look a little different, that they were going to be obviously wearing masks, that they wanted you to hand sanitize coming in. So we put together this video for her just to let people know what to expect when you come there. She wanted people to feel safe, and this was one of the best ways that you can do that is through video.
Yeah. Okay, so let's roll that.
We are so excited to reopen. We've just been working diligently to put a new face on the place and make it welcoming, and we really miss our customers. We miss you guys. We want to see you. You've become our friends, and we're just waiting to open the door for you. We want to make sure that we follow all the procedures we can to make it safe for people to come in the store and make it a good experience for them. We're going to limit the number of people that come in the store to 3. We are going to be wearing face masks. If you want to wear a face mask, please do. It just is another barrier for safety. Also, we've set up where you can pack your own whatever you purchase. So method of payment would be charge, Visa, or debit. Debit tap is great because then you don't have to touch anything. We will take cash, but we would prefer the other methods. We will wipe down all surfaces when each customer leaves. We'll wipe down the doors, we'll wipe down the payment system, and we've got the glass partition as well. We just want you to be safe when you come in.
So that's the studio, and that's kind of that message that she wanted to get across sort of late in the spring, early in the summer, that we're getting back here. It worked really, really well. We were pretty kind of unsure, like, what state are people in? Is this going to help people come back? What's going to work? Is this going to work? It worked really, really well.
Yeah, the comments were amazing too. Thank you so much for taking the care to do this. When people went in to shop, then they commented and said, I felt so safe being in there. You know, there was... It just set that ease before people even went in, and they already knew what to expect. They knew, okay, I have to go in and sanitize my hands. I have to, you know, that things are going to be a little bit differently, but I can still go and do some shopping. Mm-hmm. So that was really good. I think there was $100 spent on the video. We put it at the beginning of June, let it run for the month. And the statistics were incredible.
Yeah, here's the Facebook ad, or the Facebook performance page, just to kind of give you an idea of how this video did. So we ran it for probably about a 2-week lead up to a reopening, and then once she opened, we had a new video ready to go that was kind of more of a Canada Day type of thing, so a little bit more, even more upbeat message. But here's what you can see. We spent $50 promoting this video. We specifically asked for women 35 and up, because that's her target market, and people that were within a 50-mile radius of her store in Sterling. So that made sure that people in Quinte West and Belleville, close to Peterborough, you know, that whole sort of region, most of the county, that whole area would see the video. And then, of course, as people see it and like it and react to it, then Facebook starts showing other people that are similar to those, similar interests to those people. But you can see there's 15,000 3-second views. So Facebook, as I mentioned earlier, Facebook counts a video view at 3 seconds, which is pretty low for sure. You know, it's not going to give you a huge response if people only watch 3 seconds, but it also lets people then kind of self-identify whether they want to watch more of the video or not. What we get excited about is 1,300 post clicks. So that means of those 15,000 people, 1,300 people clicked somewhere in this, meaning they wanted to know more. They watched the video again. They clicked the mute button off so they could hear it. You know, any one of those different things, and you can see lots of reactions, lots of shares, all things that just you know, showed that there was a good sort of response to the video. And later we're going to show you some of the stats that she the actual numbers, like the sales numbers,
yeah.
And how that worked for her.
Yeah, for sure. And we were a little like wondering how this video would do, because it was kind of a protocol video, right? Mm-hmm. So we weren't really sure, you know, what that was going to do, because it wasn't her typical normal video. Normally what she would do is she has a theme every month. So the first Tuesday of every month, she has a video that goes out about what she wants to talk about that month. Mm-hmm. So as Aaron was saying, that next one that we put out was kind of a Canada Day thing. It was talking about red and white and the beautiful colors and that sort of thing, and that she lives in the greatest place in the world. Mm-hmm. So that was a little more upbeat, but it did the job that it needed to do, which was telling people what they needed to know to come in order to shop and to feel safe. Yeah.
So we're going to dive into those numbers a little bit deeper once we get to the sharing part, but just wanted to give you a bit of an idea. That video, as Angela said, it was entirely made with a phone, shot on an iPhone
10R.
iPhone 10R, used a tripod, a couple other little tools that we're going to show you here today, and that was it, and something that can work for her business, and can definitely work for your business as well.
Yeah.
So to make a video, though, any video, including that one, you're going to need to have a story. The story is going to be the thing that's going to help people connect with your video. So one of the things that we like to say is people connect through stories, and if you can tell them an interesting one that aligns with your organization, then you're going to be in good shape. Now, the challenge with story, and a lot of times people get kind of hung up on this as well, how do I tell my story? Like, what story can I tell? What's going to be interesting to people? What's going to kind of get them excited about knowing more about my business? Now, a lot of you have probably heard of the hero's journey, and this is a kind of a formula or a framework that a lot of books, movies, lots of different stories have used over the years to help kind of just build out a journey or storyline that fans, movie fans, book fans, like people following the story will get excited about. So the challenge with this stuff is it's a little bit complicated, especially if we're talking about a 2-minute video. And Barb's capping you at 2 minutes. So you got 1 to 2 minutes to get your story across here. Maybe it's a soft cap. I don't know. She could tell us more later. But here's the thing. Like you do want to get across a story pretty quickly. So are you going to be able to tell this whole thing in one sort of 2-minute video? Probably not. Could you break it out and maybe tell it over the course of many videos? Sure, you could. But one of the things that we like to do is, I don't know if we're lazy or I don't know if we're just, you know.
Do you mean you and I lazy?
Yeah,
oh.
But we always we like to look for shortcuts. Now, I don't mean shortcuts that are going to minimize or make our work bad, but I do mean shortcuts where we go, do we really need this, or can we just take the best part of it and use that so that we don't have to worry about writing out the whole hero's journey? Because you know what? We got other stuff to do. We got stuff to sell. We're yes, we market our business, but we're also the accountant, the bookkeeper, the custodian, we're the salesperson, we're the manager, we're the HR staff, right? We're everybody. So if you can relate with that, you can probably follow along with us to say, we like to kind of break this down and figure out what's the most important part so that we can get that done, get it out, and get on with our day, which ultimately for you, hopefully, like it is for us, is making your customers really excited and happy and having a great business. Not everybody wakes up saying, I want to be a great marketer today, but it's important. It's critical to having a successful business.
Yeah, I would say one of the hardest parts, I hope I'm not jumping the gun here, but the hardest part about story is that I think we all by default want to tell everybody everything there is to know, right? So it's really hard when you get to the editing stage. I would say this is the hardest part, is to take away stuff, right? Like for instance, we did a documentary film that we put into DocFest, our local DocFest, on the Crawford family. And our first cut, I think it was over 4 hours long, right? And they're like, so how's the doc coming? And we're like, well, it's about 4 hours and 15 minutes. And they're like, whoa, this isn't the Titanic here. You're going to have to really cut that down. And we're like, yeah, we know. So we started cutting stuff down and we took so much out of it. It ended up just being almost 4 hours. And we were like, oh, we're not even going to have a story here. Like it was absolutely gut-wrenchingly painful for us to take all this stuff out. But what happened when we were done and we had a 2-hour doc, we had the best pieces of the story that, brought you along and brought you along and brought you along. So that's what you want to do. Just remember that you don't have to tell everything all at once. That will mean that you have another video to tell and another video to tell and another video to tell. So just take those good little tidbits of information, put it together, and have like that nice 1 to 2 minute video that will hold somebody's attention. And then you can always follow that up with another video and another video. So that's really great.
Think of it almost as chapter 1, right?
Yes.
So we're going to get into a couple of tools and techniques that you can use to help tell that story. But even before we do, we want to make sure that you understand these 2 pieces that are critical to the hero's journey, and especially when it comes to telling your story about your business in video. Every great story has 2 things: a hero that has a problem and a guide that has a solution. And 9 times out of 10, when we see businesses make videos, whether they use a production company or do it themselves, 99% of the time when we see that they've made a mistake in their messaging, it's that they've confused whether or not they're the hero or the guide. So we're going to make this easy on you. Every story is going to have a hero. So the hero wakes up in the morning as the hero of their day, of their story, of their life. And we have problems. And in your case, being a business owner, you solve a problem or several problems for people, right? Angela and I have a business. What do? Well, we teach people how to make videos with their phones. So if they wake up in the morning going, okay, I've got a business here and I want to figure out how to market it better, we've got a solution for you, right? If you think, well, I want to make videos, but I don't know how, we have a solution. Or I want to make videos, but I don't think I can do it with my phone. We've got that solution, right? So that's what we do. We know waking up in the morning, our best opportunity to attract customers is to position ourselves as a guide with a solution. So then what we do is we go out and find the hero that has a problem. So in this case, 20 of you showed up today. You're the heroes of this story. You're people that own businesses or are thinking about owning a business or are trying to figure out what to do with your business, all of these kinds of things. And the problem that we've identified that we're trying to help you work with is you don't have enough people buying what you sell, right? Whether it's, no matter what it is, ultimately your business is going to be successful if people buy whatever it is that you sell. So if you don't have enough people doing that, then you probably have a marketing problem or a communications problem. And that's what we're here talking about. So if you position yourself as the guide and whatever it is that you sell as the solution, then it's going to become pretty clear who are your heroes and what are their problems. Now, this isn't to say that maybe Barb's not our hero typically because she's not a small business owner that's got a marketing problem, but that's okay. We still like her. We still want to work with her. We still enjoy that connection and communication. But ultimately, that's not who we're targeting. The people that we really want to target are the small business owners that are trying to figure out how to sell more of what they do. And we would encourage you to start with that for your business. So just make sure that you're crystal clear on you being the guide when you're talking about these stories, and that your solution is going to help solve that problem for a very specific group of people.
Mm-hmm. And just keep in mind too, you're not for everybody as well, as much as we want to be for everybody. Yeah. And we had that problem when we were first putting this online course together. We're like, oh, we could teach these, like travel bloggers, we can, like people that travel the world and want to make videos instead of just doing blogs, and small business owners, because we wanted to help people like Aaron's mom. And what about real estate agents? And what about course creators? And it was just too much. So we distilled that down to just a small pocket of people that we can really connect with right away, that people that know that they already need video, that they want to do video, that they're interested in doing video. Because if you start talking to other people out there, then there's going to be a bit of a conflict, right? So you just want to make sure that it's okay if you're not for everybody, because you won't be, and it's okay, and just accept that because it's fine.
Yeah, we work with a lot of real estate professionals. As Angela said, we look for people that already know they need video. Real estate agents, they already know they need video. So we work with a lot of real estate agents, most of them in the U.S. We're big in Texas and Colorado, Florida, California, a lot of places where we've been able to.
The warm places.
Yeah, and this is one thing that we really like them to understand is you're not for everybody. So as much as you sometimes think, well, I want to be for everyone because that sounds like it's going to create more business for me, it actually doesn't. It works the other way. That's why we say just be really clear on that hero and the problem that they have and how you can solve that. That's going to make a big difference for you. So then once you get started with that, then what can you do with it? Well, here are some questions that are going to kind of help you open up some of those stories. These are very secretive questions you've probably never heard before, but it's the W's, right? Like, who are you? What do you do, right? Where do you do it? Most importantly, why do you do it? And as much as these sometimes seem like trivial kind of questions, what they do is they back you up right to day one of your business. Because one of the biggest problems that we all have in our business, especially when we're trying to communicate with our customers, is we know way too much and we overwhelm them with what we know. And Angela and I have worked really hard on that with this program. We've made thousands of videos. We've had millions of views. We know how to do this stuff. And we say, it's easy, just do this and this and this. Yeah, but you know what? If you've never made a video before, and we say something like, well, get some B-roll, you might be going, I don't know what B-roll is. And I don't even know if I want to ask because they're already past that, right? So we can easily overwhelm people with our knowledge. So when you use these kind of simple questions, these simple W questions, who are you, what do you do, who do you do it for, where do you do it, especially why do you do it, then you're remembering to back yourself up to day one of your business and start from the beginning, right? How can you help that person do this? So for us, before we even get into, hey, you need to use a tripod or this or that, we don't even get into that until we've done a couple of things. One, hopefully helped you understand that we understand how to do this and we can give you a shortcut to fixing it for yourself. And then the other thing is, it can really work for you, right? There's some great numbers there, some numbers that we showed, that we shared. And we want to make sure that we're getting you on board first, even before we get into all of that stuff. So those questions are all going to go a long way in helping you do that with your ideal customer, your hero as well. You may be right. Maybe I do.
I know. I was just thinking, man. I'm just kidding. So here's some questions that can help as well, getting your story out. And this goes along with that story formula that we were talking about earlier, keeping in mind that you are the guide. So who are you? You know, why do you do what you do? Why did you open your business? Why do you care? You know, how did you start? What keeps you doing this? What was it like when? So beforehand, what was it like when you were working for somebody else and that's why you started your own business? So you kind of be your own boss or something like that. What did you learn through this? How did it make you feel when you had your first customer come in and buy something from you? How did that make you feel, right? What do you do? Basically, right? Like, what is it that you do? Why did you open your business and what do you do? What can you do to help somebody? Why is it important to you? And how did this change your life? And why did you start? It's that why is so important, right? Why do you do what you do? And how did that get started? I think those are two of the most important things that you can tell somebody about your business, and they get to know you too, right? Through that video, it's kind of opening that door to people do business with somebody that they know, like, and trust. And that opens the door for them before they even walk into your physical store or come to you physically for the first time. They're already knowing why you opened your business, what you're doing, where you are, what you love most about it. And they're getting to know you because they can see you and they can see your reactions, they can see your emotions through the video. And then they start to build that trust for you. And any more people now are really researching things online before they even go into a business because they want to make sure it's worth it for them to go, especially in this day and age when you can be open and it's still a little scary out there. They want to make sure that it's worth it for them to go out and to go to your business. So those are some great prompt questions to get you started with pulling that story from you. Now, you don't have to answer all of them in one video because that would be a little bit much. But, you know, maybe you do record yourself answering all of those questions, and then you take 3 of the best questions out of there and put them together to tell your story.
Yeah, and this is kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. You want these to be chapters, right? This isn't one big video that's going to cover everything. It's let's get into some of these different things. You may think, well, why is this important? Like, don't people just want to know how much is it going to cost to do this or how long is it going to take to do this? They do, but Simon Sinek had a great TED Talk that had millions and millions of views, one of the most popular ones ever. And his whole thing was people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And we completely embrace that, especially, you know, when you're talking about big brands like Apple and those kinds of brands, it's easy to see. When you're a local business, maybe you're a solo business, maybe it's just you, maybe you're your entire business, maybe you work with 10 to 15 to 20 clients a year or 30 or whatever your numbers are. It's still the same thing, right? When you say people do business with people that they know, like, and trust, it's true. If you look around at your customers, how many of them came to you from a referral, or how many of them came to you because you knew them, or a lot of times those customers come through those types of opportunities. And one of the great things about video is it can accelerate that whole process and help people get to know a little bit more about you ahead of time and for a very inexpensive amount of money.
Yeah.
A couple of things that we really like to make sure that people know in their videos. A big one is we say show don't tell or show don't sell. One of the things that you want to avoid is making a commercial about what your sales, those kinds of things, and putting that stuff on Facebook. It just does not sell. It doesn't work. People are not there to hear your ad. They're not looking for an ad. If you're going to take your sort of mindset of, well, I just want to tell them about the specials that I'm having and that kind of thing, you're not going to be able to connect with people.
Well, you got to remember too that people are on social media to connect with their friends, right? And their family, and to see, what everybody's doing, what somebody had for dinner, or, what somebody's cat or dog is doing, right? So if you're interrupting them with a, hey, please come to my store because I've got a 50% off sale and everything's got to go kind of thing, right? It's kind of like, yeah, whatever. But if you come across a story that, so going back to Erin's mom, her January video from last year was she painted one of her walls Simon Chang's color of the year, and it was called Honey, I'm Home. So her whole January video was about this color of the year. We showed in the video her store so you could see what she had to sell, but she didn't say, oh, you should come in and buy this pillow because it's the Honey I'm Home color and it'll look great in your house. She didn't say any of that. She said Simon Chang's color of the year is called Honey I'm Home, and we're in January and we're cold and it's just blah out right now. So this Honey I'm Home color just makes you feel warm and cozy, and who doesn't like to feel warm and cozy? Who doesn't want to curl up with a book and a candle and feel nice, just having that, some time to yourself, some cozy time, And that's all her video was really about, was how then she's saying, how can she help the hero in her story feel warm? People were flying in her store to buy candles and throws and to get a little piece of this color in their house because they wanted to feel warm in the blah January weather, right? So it works really well.
Yeah, a 47-year-old woman did not drive from Quinte West to Sterling to buy a candle, right? She came to have her home feel a little bit different, feel a little bit more like that. So depending on what your business is, and some of you might be going, well, I don't know how that's going to apply to my business. There is a way to make it apply to your business. People will figure out that that's for sale. People will figure out that part of it. They don't need to be spoon-fed that stuff. What they do need to know is how you're genuine, how you're here to genuinely help them, right? And whether it's helping them feel a little bit more warmth in the wintertime, or have a little bit less stress at tax time, or whatever it is that you do, boil it down to what's the feeling that the customer gets or your client gets when you do it really well, right? If you're a real estate professional, what are they doing? Well, they're solving a problem for somebody that goes, I don't like the house I have and I want a new one, right? So I got to get rid of this one and get into a new one. When you boil it down, typically that's it. That's a lot of questions in there. There's a lot of anxiety in there. There's a lot of stress in there. How do I make sure I'm making the right decision, right? That's what you're there for, to help them make that right decision. And when you can help them understand through your videos even ahead of time that you're that kind of person that's going to help them through that, the chances of them calling you or coming to your business or whatever it looks like for your business to engage with a potential client, that's going to rise dramatically.
It's one of the hardest things to do, though, is to show, don't tell. Because we even see with Jean when we go and do a video with her that she'll be like, oh, guess what? I've got these. And then she's like, oh, no, I don't want to talk about that, right? So she even catches herself, and you'll find that you'll do that because that's what you do. You sell your stuff, right? And you want the world to know that it's for sale, right? And what you have to offer. But if you just change the table around a little bit, that makes all the difference in the world. And suddenly then that's a story where you're talking right directly to the hero, your customer, and they can feel then that emotion. And emotion is something that pulls at you, that makes you want, right? So
yeah, and one easy way to remember all of this, if you're kind of like, well, I don't know, how do I do that? How do I make sure I'm that? Is try to remember to not be a representative of your business. Try to just be you. right? A lot of times when we're talking about our businesses and somebody says, you know, you're at a chamber mixer or something like that. Well, what's your business? Well, my business is this. You kind of get into that representative mode, right? You want to try to stay out of that, especially in these videos. You want them to be authentic and warm and comforting and connecting. Then try not to be a representative, be you. Talk about you. How do you help people, right? And one of the best things, like a realtor, for instance, a great example, and we obviously we work with them a lot, is, okay, am I really good at, do I have a lot of experience? Do I know the market? Do I, you know, understand how all of these different processes work? Yeah, I kind of expect you all know, all the realtors would know that, right? I wouldn't think you'd be a professional if you didn't know that. But what I really want to know is, what's it going to feel like when we work together? Like, what's it going to feel like when I get a call from you at 9:45 at night saying, hey, we've got a potential offer here, and you know, what's that going to feel like? Is it going to feel good and comfortable and helpful, or is it going to be kind of scary and stress inducing and just add anxiety? Or you might be the kind of person you go, I don't care, I love that hustle, I love that thing, so I'm okay with that, I just want the hustle part. Like, you got to find a good fit. And people, it's the same for everything. A house is a huge one. A car is a really big one. But what about things like shoes or a belt, or, you know, your taxes, or, you know, installing a fireplace, or whatever different things that you do? It's all still the same thing. I want to make a good decision, and I'm going to feel like I'm making a good decision when I'm working with the right person. It's not the company, it's that person. So try to avoid being the representative. That's going to make a big difference.
Good point.
Hopefully this is making sense. Let us know if you got if you got a question,
Yeah,
if any of this is kind of like, I don't get it. You're going to be like, wait, we're 45 minutes into this. You haven't talked about videos yet. How do I make my video? Barb's waiting for me to get my video submission in, and I don't know how to make it yet. We're getting to that for sure. But the most important thing is what's going to be in your video. And we find more often than not, that's where people fall and don't get something that's going to be of value to them. And that's why we say that the camera is actually pretty far down the list on what's important. This stuff that we've covered so far is number one. 100%, it's number one. Without this stuff, you're not going to make a video that's going to help you attract new business.
Right. So with that being said, let's get into some video making tools.
Yeah.
Let's talk about like the old way versus the new way first. Okay. So the old way, okay, you would need
a backwards hat.
A backwards hat. You would need all of this equipment. You would need a DSLR camera that costs thousands of dollars, plus the learning curve on top of it. Try to figure out how it works. It's got a million buttons and stuff to adjust and all of that.
Yep.
You could spend hours trying to learn how to do this. You also need something to put it on. So like this gentleman's using like a monopod, which costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars. There's accessories.
That's a gimbal.
Yeah. Oh, a gimbal. Sorry, I thought it was on the ground. Okay, it was a gimbal. It still costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars. See, all this stuff is complicated though, right?
$5.99.
Yeah, well, $5.99. So that's hundreds of dollars. Plus, you need all these little cards and
filters,
lenses and
batteries,
yeah, it's crazy. And batteries, and not to mention all of this stuff. When you lug it around, it gets heavy, right? So that's why we love the phone, because now look at that. Whoa. That's actually on a gimbal itself, which costs $150, and there's your phone. So, and which you already had with you, and you pretty much know how to turn it on. So, that's the learning curve right there with as far as getting started with video.
Yeah, one of the things that we always found when we're making videos, and we still use our DSLR equipment to make videos for sure, but one of the things we find when we use that is there's a few things that we get hung up on usually. If we get back and there's something wrong with our footage, it's usually the exposure or the white balance or the focus. One of those things is usually what's tripped us up. And one of the great things about the phones is that they basically handle most of that stuff automatic, on autopilot. Now, there's times where you're going to have to override that and take control of it, but for the most part, they work really well just on autopilot. So it used to be basically you'd have to hire somebody to make a video for you, and they're going to come in and they're going to use professional gear, professional editing software, and make that video for you. Or you're going to have to invest in this expensive equipment, DSLR equipment, or dedicated video camera, lighting, mics, monopod, tripod, all of that kind of stuff to get a good quality video. Fortunately, Apple, Samsung, LG, Google, all the biggest companies in the world are spending billions with a B of dollars every year making, maybe not every year, but combined every year, making sure that the next phone that they put out has terrific camera in it. And they're leaning more to video every time they bring out a new model. The new iPhone 12 Pro Max has the best video camera that's ever been put in a phone before. That's not to say that you need to have the latest, greatest. You don't. A lot of the techniques that we teach, we actually dial back a lot of those features in there, but they've really made them so that you can make really high quality video with your phones now. Yeah. So we're all about that. We think that it's definitely going to be something that it kind of levels the playing field. You already have one. It's in your pocket and you're ready to go. Now, there are a few tools that you're going to want to use to get pro results out of your phone. So even though we're not necessarily using a bigger camera, a lot of these same sort of techniques are still going to be important even with your phone. Now, we said earlier, we're all about simplifying. We're all about reducing the cost wherever we can. And one of the things we love about using our phones is the equipment that you buy for your phone. The similar version for a DSLR is usually 3, 4, 5, even 10 times as much money. So that's one of the things that we really, really like.
And it's
about
bigger
that.
And heavier.
Bigger and heavier.
I know when we go to do like videos with our DSLR cameras, we take bags of stuff with us. Like we have lights on tripods and boom mics, or lavalier mics, which is fine, they're small, but cameras and batteries, and we each have a couple of backpacks, and we each have a couple of tripod bags, and we each have a couple of lighting bags. It's heavy, right? And it's so great when you can take a small little bag and put like a small light, your phone, and a little mic inside, and that's all you're carrying with you, and you have everything you need.
So
it's
nice.
great.
Yeah. So a couple of things that we want to make sure that you're aware of. One is, my slides keep, my PowerPoint is out of control here. It must be a new year and it's going nuts. I know. So a couple of things that we want to tell you a little bit about with the smartphone cameras. So you can use an iPhone, you can use an Android, you probably can't use a BlackBerry, but maybe you can if you still have one. But for sure, any of this can work with an iPhone or with Android. Some of the new ones like the iPhone 12, 11, the Galaxy 20, they've got like 3 different cameras in them, 3 different lenses. They'll do 8K, 200 times zooms. They've got all kinds of different sort of marketing features in them. Don't worry about any of that stuff. None of that is important to what you're trying to make here for your business videos. Ideally, you're going to use just your regular lens anyway. It's usually the best lens in any camera. We've certainly tested all of our techniques using an iPhone 10 and newer, a Samsung 9, Galaxy 9 and newer. Whatever you have is probably going to be good enough. Mostly because we typically tell you to turn off, like you don't want it in 4K, 8K, all that kind of stuff. We typically just say film it in 1080. That's what you're gonna share it in anyway, and you're gonna get great results without using up a ton of room on your phone. So if you have an iPhone 8 or a 7, maybe, we haven't really tested much of this stuff with a 7. If you got a Google Pixel, if you got an LG phone, if you've got a Samsung, whatever you have, it's probably going to work for what you want to do with these videos. A lot of times we get hung up on, well, do I need the new one to be able to make this video look great? And we've done that. We've invested in the newest phones because we want to be able to share those. But honestly, what we find is that the difference in quality in the video is very, very minimal. What's more important is light, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But your camera is definitely gonna have an impact on your video, on the quality of your video. But don't get hung up on this. If you don't have a brand new phone, don't worry about it. If you're thinking of upgrading, this is a pretty good reason to upgrade. The iPhone 12, the new 12 lens with the built-in stabilization and that stuff is pretty awesome. But some strengths, some of the things that we really love about filming with our phone.
Yeah, well, first of all, you already have it with you, right? So that's a bonus. But other than that, they have some great strengths. So like Aaron was saying, with the new iPhone, it's got some built-in stabilization, but they're pretty stable anyway. Their battery life is great, and it just keeps getting better and better. They have auto exposure, so when you have it out there, it's exposing everything. It's not doing what DSLR cameras do sometimes when we get back and we're like, oh, that's a little fuzzy or whatever. It exposes for everything and focuses for everything too. So, which is really great, because then that keeps it just very simple. I know sometimes still, when we go out with our DSLRs, I'm touching all the buttons to try to figure out how to get it to look good. And Aaron's like, just stop touching all the buttons. But that's what I love. I love the simplicity. Like, I mean, if you have a DSLR camera and you want to shoot with that, well, I'm not telling you not to. They're wonderful. But if you want the simplicity and you want something that you don't have to worry about, I love the simplicity. I just turn this on, I throw it on a tripod, hit record, and I just go, and it's done. And it's, a lot less painless for me to do it.
Yeah, and what that lets you do is focus in on the story, like focus in on the clips you're trying to get, focus in on the video that you're trying to make, as opposed to focusing in on the tech, on the technology, the gear. Do I have the right lens? Do I have the right focus? Do I have these things? You don't need that stuff. What you really want to do is tell a great story here. My small business center notifications are lighting up like crazy here. Brianna must be sharing some stories and stuff.
But it can get very overwhelming to try to learn the tech part of it, especially if you're not techie. Like Aaron geeks out on that. Like he loves the technology, right? Me, I'm like, okay, I just want to go shoot a video and get it shot and start editing and put my story together. That's what I like. I like the simplicity of it. So and I don't have to worry. I just turn it on and go, right? And I don't have to think about, okay, how do I expose for this? How do I make sure this is in focus? And even like with the white balance and stuff like that, like we don't even get into that when we teach people, because we would if we were talking with a DSLR, but with the camera, everything exposes so nice.
Yeah, most of the time, occasionally it'll miss, occasionally it'll look a little funny. But one of the things that we're always kind of saying with that type of thing is, remember that you're not making these videos for other video creators or other video people. You're making these videos for your clients or your ideal clients. And when you keep that in mind, you remember, okay, does my ideal client care if I have this amazing kind of crane movement shot? No. What they care about is, do they understand how what you're doing can help them live a better life? Yes. So that's what we focus on, right? It's not to say that there isn't a place to have cool shots. And we're always talking about, like in our courses, we're always talking about camera movement and how to use a gimbal to get really good shots. We're always looking for cool little angles that you can get. We love it when people watch our videos and go, wow, I can't believe you did that with a phone, right? But you don't have to do that. Like Angela said, I do geek out on that stuff. But the key here is you want to tell a story that your ideal client's going, oh, okay, I get it. I see how you can help me. That's what they really want to know.
And
right?
you don't
That's the most important part.
Yeah, and you don't want to take a lot of time trying to do all of this techie stuff and trying to do like all this extra stuff, right? You have a business to run. That's what you're in business to do, not to try to become a video creator. But video is the best way to get your message out there. So if you can simplify it, right, and do it effortlessly or mostly effortlessly, then you can get that video done and out and then concentrate on what you do best.
Yeah. So there are three things that you're going to need to make your video engaging for people on top of the story. So three technical things. So you're going to need stability, meaning you're going to have to be able to find a way to keep that camera from moving all over the place and making people seasick. You're going to need to make sure that you've got good light, because one of the things we didn't really get into the disadvantages of filming with a phone, but one of the big disadvantages of filming with a phone is that the lens is like tiny, right? It's really super small. So light is the most important thing in any video or any photo that you're going to do. It doesn't matter what gear you're using. With a phone, it's even more important. So it's even more really important. It is really important anyway. It's the number one thing. And then your audio, having a microphone so that people can hear what you're saying and it's clear. And so we're going to get into each of those. But definitely the first thing that we're always talking about getting is a tripod. Now, you may already have a tripod, or you may look for a new tripod, but basically a tripod with a clip that will hold your phone is going to be what will give you the ability to kind of keep that phone phone steady and make sure that you know, your image isn't falling all over the place and making people seasick.
Yeah, so it's just there's a simple phone clip that you can get that you just put your phone on. Aaron's got one here on his phone already. Make sure that you're doing landscape too.
Oh yeah.
When you do, yeah. Caught you on that one. So, and then you're just going to put, the shoe's off this, but there's a little mounting shoe, and then you're just going to put your phone on a tripod. So that's all you need. This is all you need to get started making video. This will give you great shots because, as Aaron was saying, you want something that's going to be stable. So if you tried to go around and handhold and do this to get some shots of your beauty shots of what you sell in your store. Like if I was doing selling microphones and I wanted to do some shots on a microphone and I'm doing this, well, no matter how much you think you're being still, you're still moving. It's still going to come across a little seasick. But if you have this on here and you're just moving this back and forth, it gives you really nice stable panning shots, or even up and down shots that you can do as well.
And the cameras all have built-in image stabilization, and that helps for sure. But especially having a tripod is going to make it just a big difference in being able to get good, stable shots. One of the things, you can use a tabletop tripod. You can use almost any kind of tripod. These phone clips are about $15. You can get them. I don't know if Japan Camera locally has them. A lot of times we just go online to get them just because it's a little bit easier to find them quickly, especially in you know, the current situation. But if you can shop locally, do it for sure. We definitely we know everybody appreciates that support. But that phone clip is going to just keep that phone locked in. They all come with standard size threads on them, so it doesn't matter which one you get. And then you can add that to your tripod or a tabletop tripod, something that's going to just hold that still. Occasionally we'll even use these gimbals. We showed you one earlier. This is a gimbal specifically for a phone. This one's made by a company called DJI. There's a few different versions of it. And basically they all do the same thing. They just hold the camera steady so that you can kind of move it and get a little bit more a smoother shot. Now, the one thing with these gimbals we find is that they're a little tricky to use. They stabilize things, but you still have to have good technique to kind of make sure that they, you know, that they're going to smooth out your image for you. A lot of them, like this one, has a little tabletop tripod, so you can kind of use it as a tripod as well, especially if you're putting it on a table or a counter or something like that. But if you've ever tried to record a video and you're sort of trying to lean it up against a book or a pillow or something like that, and then trying to kind of position, Barb's waving, she's like, yeah, I've been there, or you're trying to kind of position yourself in it, it's going to be challenging because there's a couple of things that you want to do when you're talking to the camera or when you're making these videos, especially when you're talking to the camera, is you want to be looking at the camera, right? You want it to be kind of at eye level with you. Like you can see here in our studio, we're looking right at you, right? Because we know in these kinds of trainings, especially if we're talking for a couple hours like we are today, you know, we want to maintain eye contact with you. We want you to feel like we're talking to you as opposed to kind of looking off to the side or up or down or something like that. So you want to make sure that that camera is eye level. You can look into it. It's as close or as far away as you want it to be. And using a tripod or even using the gimbal like this can work, but using a tripod is going to make a big difference on being able to do that. The gimbal looks good too.
It does. It's cool. It's fun.
All right. So then once you've got your tripod, and your phone clip, we kind of call that one thing, but I guess it's two. Once you got your tripod and your phone clip, so then the next big thing is light. And there's just no two ways about it. The quality of your light has the biggest impact on the quality of your video. So it doesn't matter if you're using your phone, a GoPro, a high-end $50,000 ARRI camera, red camera, anything. It doesn't matter what camera you're using. The light is going to have the biggest impact on the quality of image. We've seen amazing videos shot with a phone with good light that will blow away a video shot even with a high-end cinema camera that doesn't have good light. And especially with a phone where you're dealing with a very small lens, which lets in a small amount of light, and a very small sensor, light is absolutely critical. So having said that, how do you get good light, especially if you don't have a light?
Right. Well, window light is the best. Like outdoor light is by far, I would say, trumps everything. But what if you're not doing a video on a nice bright sunny day, right? Like what if it's overcast, or what if it's this time of year and it's just a little more dreary outside? You can get little lights. That
we use LED lights a lot, but I don't want to miss that part about the window light. We definitely, if you're making a video, like the video we showed you earlier with my mom, that's all window light, right? We knew we were doing it in the daytime. We just kind of positioned herself so that she's close to the window, facing the window, right? So the camera or the phone is between the window and her, so that she's getting that nice light right on her face. You definitely don't want to have the window behind you, because when you have the window behind you, it's going to blow out and kind of make you harder to see. So you just want to have that nice window light right on you. That's the easiest way to get good quality video. It's like having this big soft box with really nice light that you can just use. Doesn't cost anything, and it gives you really good quality of light. Mm-hmm. Now that's the downside is if you're trying to film at a time when it's not very light out, this time of year, that means you got about a 6-hour window, and then other than that, it's getting pretty dark. Or maybe the light, the light is nice, but the background doesn't work very well. You want to move so that your background is different, then you might have to add some light to the situation. And we've got a few different things that we use for that. So we have in the studio here, we've got a couple of LED lights that are up at about like 10 and 2 that are on us. And they're just there all the time. They're plugged in, they're on light stands, and they give us a really good quality of light, and it works really, really well. But depending on how often you're making videos or the environment that you're making them in, this might not be a good setup for you. The nice thing is the cost of these lights have gone down dramatically. These 2 lights that we use, they're made by a company called Newer, and they are about $150 US each. And we have 2 because there's usually 2 of us on camera. We could probably get away with 1 if there was 1 of us. But they're pretty big and they're a little bulky. So a lot of times we'll use sort of smaller LED lights, like this one here is a good example. This one's made by the same company. It's about $50. Like they're pretty inexpensive. There's
I got it over here.
The other little tiny one, which is also about $50. This one's actually got a built-in battery, and it's tiny, tiny little light, but it does make a big difference. Mm-hmm. And especially when you're using a phone and you just need to kind of get a little bit of light sort of on your face, is just going to make a big difference. It gets rid of some of the shadows and just kind of gives you a nicer quality of light. I like this part.
He always blinds me with this. What you want to avoid is going into a room and going, okay, well, I just turned on all the fluorescent lights and there's lots of overhead lights, so I'm good. The overhead light is not so great. So that's where these come in handy, because when you have an overhead light, obviously it's over your head, right? So our faces aren't flat. You've got your nose and cheekbones, and they're contoured. So you're going to get shadows here. You're going to get shadows like on the side here, where where you can see like the shadow of your nose. It's just not going to be flattering for those overhead lights. So what we always do is we turn off the overhead lights, and we have a light kind of off to the side, up a little bit, kind of at a 45-degree angle, I guess, and off to either the 10 or the 2. That way, when you're looking at the camera, you're not looking into the light where it's kind of blinding, but it's just off just to brighten up your face enough that will look flattering. Mm-hmm. That's not going to have that overhead contoury, make you look like you need more sleep or something. But.
Yeah, that's one of the things we always kind of pitch in our one course is just called Confidence on Camera, and it's all about being more confident on camera. And one of the first things that we talk about is light, because if you feel like you look your best, then you're probably going to be a little bit more confident, right? If you're feeling like you've got good flattering light. And you're right, anytime you have overhead light, it's definitely going to cast a lot of shadows underneath your face. It's going to illuminate your forehead or the top of your head. And for some of us that don't have as much hair as others, then you don't want that, right? You want it to be a bit more flattering and kind of positioned in a way that it's not giving you those harsh shadows. If you wear glasses, that can be a challenge because you're going to get reflections. And sometimes the window light with glasses can be really challenging because you can't really move the window. You got to move you and reposition it or move the camera. But a lot of times with these types of lights, usually with glasses reflection, it's just a matter of changing the angle of the light a little bit. So with these smaller lights, it's really easy to do, especially if it's on a light stand or something like that. So that's something that, for $50 or $100, you can get a couple of 1 or 2 little LED lights. They're going to make a huge difference in the quality of your videos, especially if you're making videos on a regular basis. If you're just kind of going to go and make one for Barb and her in the BizQuest Quinny program, then grab a window light. Like use window to do that. If you're going to start making them on a regular basis, you might go, hey, you know what? Maybe it'd be a bit more convenient for me to have a light. The one thing I just want you to be aware of is a light like this isn't going to give you better light than your window. It just might be more convenient. You might be able to position it a little bit easier, and it might be a little bit more convenient to film at night or in the morning, earlier in the day, that type of thing.
Or in a room that has a very small window, or that doesn't have a lot of natural light. Like Erin's mom's store, she's got huge display windows at the front of her store. So it's easy for us to put her on a stool and position her where she's facing that window. Yeah. She's got lots of light on her, so we don't need a light. But if you have like a room somewhere that's really nice with a couch or something that you want to, position yourself on, that you can take a video of yourself and it's not that light and you've got some overhead light, that's where these little lights will come in super handy.
One quick tip on using these lights is the smaller your light is, the harsher it's going to be on you. So you know what it looks like when you shine a flashlight on somebody, right? That's a very small, direct, very harsh kind of light. That's the opposite of what we're going for. We're going for a nice sort of soft light. Now, a lot of times you may see like a photographer or a video company, they'll bring in like a great big softbox or something like that to use like a big, big light. And that's why, is it gives you kind of a softer wraparound like light as opposed to that harsh kind of edgy light. So there is a trick though that you can do with even the smallest lights, even like this little tiny one, is have the light, as opposed to it being sort of further away and really super bright, like up to full power, you're going to get much better, softer light if you're closer and low power. So we tend to get these things as low. Now you can't see it as much here because obviously we have good lights already, but we try to get this as low power as we can and then as close as we can without it being in the frame. And what that's going to do is just give you a much softer light. And you can kind of see, even with our other lights here, like there, this is a tiny light, but it's still giving a pretty soft light on Angela there. And you can kind of see, it's still pretty nice. If I push it back and turn it up, and this is a problem sometimes you'll see with like ring lights and things like that. If they're not adjustable, you got to kind of get them a little bit further away because you don't want it close and bright. Close and bright is going to make you look blotchy. Ideally, you want to kind of get that nice and low, get it as low as you can and as close as you can, and that's going to make a big difference in the quality of your light. So that's one tip, no matter what light you're using.
Plus it saves on the battery too.
Plus it saves, yeah, for sure. It makes the battery last a lot longer. And basically all you're doing there is just some geometry, right? Like if you're, like I said, a bigger light surface or source is going to give you softer light. A smaller light source is going to give you harsher light. So if I hold this light here or here, that you're thinking, well, the light's the same size. But the geometry is when it's here, it looks a lot bigger compared to where Angela is than if it's back here, right? It's going to give you a big difference in that size. So you didn't sign up for a geometry lesson. I am absolutely
you're not getting into that,
not qualified to give one, but that would give you just a bit of an idea of how that works. Yeah. So a tripod, a light. The third thing that is critical to the quality of your video is going to be your microphone. And we're going to introduce you to the worst microphone that's ever been invented.
Which is right here on your phone.
It's that little mic right on the bottom of your phone. You have one. If you have a phone, you have one. If you have a DSLR, you have this same worst mic ever invented. Basically, it's the same for almost anything that you have a mic built in. And it's not that the quality of the mic is bad, because you might think, hey, my phone actually records really good audio. I've used it at a concert before and it's really good. Like, the audio quality is really good. The problem is the position. It's just not positioned in the right place for getting good quality audio of somebody talking.
Right. So if we go back to putting this on the tripod, and so it's on a tripod and it's recording me. Okay, I'm doing my video. The mic is here. So it's pointing that way. It's not pointing at me. So it's amazing, even when you have a really quiet room, and try to control your environment anyway. Like, don't have a lot of noise going on. Try to make it as quiet as possible anyway, even when using a mic. But that's pointing that way. So it's going to pick up all the room noise. And it's amazing, even in a quiet room, how it will pick up like the fridge noise or the furnace, or, you know, because I have a vent right there. So it's going to pick up what's happening there, as well as my voice. And it's even going to make it sound a little echoey.
Yeah, I give those mics a bad rap. They're actually really good.
They're good.
The problem is they're trying to capture everything.
Yes.
And when we're talking in a video, we don't actually want them to capture everything. We want them to just capture us and maybe a little bit of the other stuff, but we really want them to capture us. That's going to make what's going to make the biggest difference.
Yeah. Now, if you were doing a voiceover and you are positioning it here and talking to do your voiceover, that's in a perfect spot because it's going to pick up your voice because it's just a few inches away from your mouth. So that's fine. But if you're going to be using it to take video, like I was showing you there, it's going to point out there. So you're going to want to do something different,
add a microphone,
which is easy to do because we just use these little lavalier mics. So this is a mic, big long cord on it, so you can have it on your tripod and be sitting back here. You don't have to worry about that. It clips onto your lapel. Oops, wrong way. Clips onto your lapel. So it's now right here. So it's going to pick up my voice. It's going to pick up all the sounds from my chest cavity. So it's going to get that nice, rich sound. Makes a huge difference in the world. And it just plugs into your phone. So that's a lifesaver right there. $25.
Yeah. So these little lav mics, it's a wired lav mic. There's wireless versions out there. We have a wireless version for our DSLR that looks really, really good. That works really well, sounds really good. The problem is with the wireless ones that we use, Sennheiser, they're like $800. The St. Angela set is $25, and it sounds within 90% as good as the other one, as the Sennheiser. Most of the time we find you don't need the wireless, especially if you're sitting down to kind of talk directly to the camera. It works really, really well. It gives you that good quality sound, and you know, nice long cable, so it gives you lots of room to sort of get there. But what it's going to do is just pick up your voice in a really nice way. And one of the things that we find with video is people will watch a video that has, you know, pretty good video, not great. You know, they'll kind of sit through a video if it doesn't have great video, but they will not sit through a video if the audio isn't good. If they can't hear you, there's something about the human brain that just when they can't hear you, they will disconnect from your video. Like, you ever seen that Netflix thing where, you know, you're watching Netflix and then the voice and the audio is a little bit out of sync? And I know on ours, sometimes you got to pause it and then start it again. Fortunately, it doesn't really do that as much anymore. But when they were first sort of figuring out online players, media players, you'd get that a lot. It was unwatchable, right? Like, people, you'd have to stop it and start it again. People will not. If there's a grating noise throughout, if there's something, if they can't hear the message that you're saying, they're going to disconnect. You're not going to be able to hold their attention, even for a minute.
I think Kim's asking what brand is the mic. This one is a Boya. What is it? The Boya. You put it in. Boya. M1.
I'll actually link them to our...
Yeah, it's great. It's absolutely fantastic. We're going to show you an example here too of the mic from the camera, from your phone, and then we're going to show the same the same clip with her using the microphone, just so you can hear the difference.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
Makes a big difference. So I just dropped a link in there. That's actually our affiliate link page, but it's got all the gear that we talk about. There's a US and Canada version. Just make sure you pick the Canada version. As we said, a lot of our students are in the US, so we've set it up that way, but all the Canadian stuff's there. But yeah, this mic is going to make between this mic, you get good light, you get the tripod, and this mic, you're going to have incredible difference in the quality of your video. And I have seen Japan Camera in Belleville here has had these in the past. I haven't been in there in a little while, and I know they're curbside only now. But Jeff there, he's great. You can connect with him as well. And what you're looking for is a wired lav. You need to get one that's specifically for your phone. If you're using an iPhone, you're going to have the Lightning port adapter, because what it comes with is a microphone or a headphone jack. Now you can get one if you look on Amazon, or if you're going local with Jeff at Japan Camera, you can ask him to see if he's got access to. There is one that has a Lightning port right on it, so you can plug it in direct. If you're using a Samsung, it's got the USB-C plug as opposed to a headphone jack. They've started eliminating the headphone jacks, right? So you can use those. There are wireless versions that you can get for the smartphone as well. And we tried a couple. We have not yet found one that we think is good enough quality that doesn't drop the signal and isn't really crazy expensive. Like, we're not willing to spend $400 or $500 on these. Rode makes one called the Rode Go, which is really good. The challenge is you got to buy it plus the Lav Mic, and we still think it's a little bit cost prohibitive compared to this. But here's a quick clip just so you can hear the difference in quality between the on-camera mic and this little Lav mic.
I have to learn how to do these things on my own. And being young parents and doing our best just to get by, we didn't have a lot of money for furniture and stuff, so I learned how to build my own. So I said to myself, if I'm going to marry this man that is so handsome, I'm going to have to learn how to do these things on my own. And being young parents and doing our best just to get by, we didn't have a lot of money for furniture and stuff, so I learned how to build my own.
Such a difference. In the first one, that was the phone, the mic on the phone, and you could really hear the crickets when that car drove by. Like, the crickets almost like competed with her voice, right? And took over to what she was saying. You were like, oh, there's crickets. And then I start listening to all that ambient noise in the background instead of listening to what Heather has to say. And then when the car drove by, it drowned her out for a second, right? But with the Lav Mic, that same thing happened. And it was incredible, like how then you're listening to what she has to say as opposed to what's going on with the outside noise around her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that works really well. So the keys there, you're going to have a tripod with a little clip. That way you can have your phone stable and right where you want it. You're going to have great light, or at least good light. That's going to make a huge difference in the quality of your video. And then you want to get great audio. So that microphone is a very inexpensive way to do it. You're going to see this tripod that we use, the clip, the Lav microphone, like that whole kit is about $150 or less, and that's going to give you a huge difference in quality in your videos. And not just this video, but every video you ever make, right? Because that gear is going to be able to kind of stick with you and do that. If you already have a tripod around, that's probably going to save you a big chunk of that as well. So then once you have your video shot, then the next thing is going to be editing your video. And we get into that in our courses. We take people all through how to film it step by step, how to make sure that you look and sound great on camera, what to say, how to say it, but what to film, how to put sequences together, all those kinds of things. But one of the things that we find that people, they kind of, the first time they're starting to think about making videos is they don't understand that, one of the things that you're going to do here is edit your videos. So you're going to be able to take all these different clips and things that you're going to record with your phone and bring them into an editing program, and then, arrange them, cut the clips, make sure you just have the best parts of each clip, put them in order that makes sense, add some music, polish up the sound so it makes sure that what you say sounds really good. A lot of times, like if you're recording some of the stuff that we talked about earlier, where you're talking about why you do what you do or how you do what you do, sometimes you might talk for 5 minutes about it, but there's 90 seconds of really, really good stuff. That's something that you're going to want to edit out and use that. That's the big difference between a conversation and your video, is you're going to kind of curate the best parts. And the way to do that is going to be through an editing program. There's lots of different ones. If you're on Mac or your iPhone, you can use iMovie. It works really well for that. There's all kinds of different programs. We use Adobe Premiere Pro the most. That's kind of the pro level editing suite. But the one that we like the most for teaching on is this one. It's called Adobe Premiere Rush. The app just puts RU, but it's Rush. And the cool thing that we really love about this one is that, well, one, the learning curve is much less steep than Adobe
learning Premiere Pro. Yeah. They also give you a tutorial too, a little mini tutorial at the beginning. But the great thing about this is you can edit on your phone, your laptop, or your computer. So, and what it does is it syncs. So you could start doing it on your phone. I still prefer the laptop just because it's bigger, because sometimes when you're trying to move clips around and get a nice cut in there, your thumbs are getting in the way and whatever, at least my thumbs get in the way. But you could start by importing your clips because they're on your phone anyway in your gallery. So you could import your clips right into the timeline on Adobe Rush. And then when you get to your laptop, you open up your laptop and open up Rush on your laptop, and it will sync, and then all your clips will be in there. So you could start the edit on your phone, finish it and polish it up on your laptop. So it's really great that way, or your computer, or your iPad for that matter.
Or your
so
iPad,
it works on it cross-platform that way. So that's what we really like about that. And it's nice, it's simple. It tells you like these are titles, these are transitions. Like it gives you like headings for everything that you need to know to bring your clips in. Like it shows you scissors, so you know that that's how you cut your clips and those sort of things. So it's a lot easier than trying to open up Premiere Pro, where you have a bunch of different windows and a big timeline thing going on, and you're like, I don't even know where to start. Yeah. It's nice and simple. You bring in the clips and they all go in, and then you can just start from there. So it's and that's the picture of it right there, is the editing software that we just showed you. So
it's definitely
nice
available on
easy.
Android as well. Look for Adobe Rush or Adobe Premiere Rush. I know I've got the Samsung Galaxy S20, and it didn't work on there. It wasn't compatible with it for a long time. It seems to be working now, but yeah, it's definitely available on Android as well. Look for Adobe Premiere Rush or Adobe Rush. There are other editing platforms. We like this one just because of the ease of use. It's a subscription model, so I think it's $9.99 US a month or something like that to use it. We've got it included in our Premiere Pro subscription. So if you already have like Photoshop or Illustrator or any of the other Adobe stuff, you can get it right in, built into part of that package. But basically what it does, just to give you kind of a quick idea of how this editing works, is you're going to import all the different clips, and then you're going to put them in a little timeline. And on the screen here, you can see there's the preview monitor where you can see what the video is, and below that is the timeline. And the timeline is where you're going to actually edit these clips together, whether it's you talking or whether it's somebody else talking or other beauty shots or B-roll clips. So this is kind of how you assemble all of this stuff together into a video. So the video that we showed you earlier from the studio, you saw her talking, you heard her talking, but then there was lots of other B-roll or beauty shot clips that go together to help tell that story. And then you can add your music, you can add little graphics like a title or their name or those kinds of things. And that's how you put all of that stuff together. Once you have those clips and you've taken the care of making sure that the lighting is good and the audio is good and all those things, then editing it is where you're going to be able to tie this together and take, maybe you got 15 or 20 minutes worth of clips and turn those into, just a nice 1 to 2 minute video that's going to help kind of tell that story for your business.
What I like too about Rush is that they're always updating and adding more capabilities to it. So that's really helpful. And it has one thing we should talk about is music. When you add music to your videos, you can't use commercial music. So if Jean's a big Rod Stewart fan, we can't be putting in, Rod Stewart music in with her video because we can't afford to pay
Rod
those
would be unhappy
copyright
with us.
fees. So you got to use royalty-free music for your videos. But that music just adds to that emotional story as well. But Adobe Rush has, I don't know, 50 some tracks, even more, with it, with royalty-free music built right into it. So you don't have to spend some time going off-site and trying to find that music and importing it in and all that stuff. It's just a click of a button and you add the music right to it. So that's perfect.
And a pro tip for you BizQuest Quinty folks, did I say that right this time? Rush has a trial period. Yes. And the way their trial works is, instead of it being time, is they let you export 3 videos before you have to pay for it. So you can go in and kind of try it out and test it out and all that kind of stuff, and you won't even have to pay for it to be able to use it here. Sometimes people get hung up on the subscription model. We actually really like it, because what it does is it means Adobe's constantly innovating and adding new features, and you get an update notice probably once a month, maybe every 6 weeks or so. They add a whole bunch of new stuff to it. So we recommend get in there, give it a try, and kind of see. And especially if you're making a video for the contest, then you're going to be able to output that without even having to pay for it. Yeah. Okay, so one last spot here. I know I keep hitting my mic. I got it nice and close to me here.
It's nice and loud for everybody.
One last spot, or one last thing that we want to make sure that you understand, is getting your video seen. So you've gone to all this work to make sure that your story is going to be really good, and it's going to connect with your ideal client or your ideal customer. You've gone ahead and you got a tripod and a clip and a mic, and you're using the window light, and you're making some good quality video. And then you're editing it together, and you're kind of figuring that part out, maybe getting out of your comfort zone a little bit to make these videos. Now you've got the video, you got to make sure that people are going to see it. If they don't see it, it's like having the party and not inviting anybody, right? So you want to make sure that you've got a way for people to see those videos. So for years, the way for people to see those videos was YouTube, right? YouTube is the biggest video platform on the planet. It's the second biggest search engine on the planet. It's owned by the biggest search engine on the planet. YouTube obviously is very much video centric. A lot of people use it that way. The challenge with YouTube is it's always been really difficult to build an audience on YouTube. And especially if you're a local business and you don't really care about building an audience outside of your area, then YouTube can be really challenging that way, because the algorithm is meant for longer views, it's meant for a lot of engagement, it's meant for millions of viewers as opposed to hundreds or thousands of viewers. And I know for our business, we don't need millions of people to hear about what we do. We couldn't handle 1 million clients, right? We couldn't do it. But do we need 1,000 or a couple of thousand? Yes. Depending on your type of business, you may need a few hundred depending on what you're doing. Maybe you don't even need that many. So one of the things that we found is that YouTube is really challenging to build an audience locally on. Facebook, on the other hand, is very easy to build an audience locally on. Now, you have to pay them. And one of the things that people kind of get hung up on sometimes is, well, I thought it was free, like it's social media, and I used to be able to build my business page and everybody would see my content and it was great, and now they don't see it anymore. And that's true. During that period, they were building their model, which now they've built, and now if you want to play, you got to pay. But one of the things that we found, especially for promoting a business locally, is the return on investment is incredible. Like you do pay, but very small amounts. Typically, like with the studio videos, and we use that example because we're still doing those ones every month and we get to see the exact direct results. We're typically boosting them or promoting them through Facebook Ads Manager or Boost Post for about $100 for a month. So her ad spend is $100 a month, and the return on that, we keep seeing over and over, is thousands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially, we've noticed, especially since we've been doing videos for her every month, that's made a huge difference. Because before, when she first opened and we had one video go out and then we waited, a few months and then another video came out, it was really hit and miss. But now that it's very consistent, her numbers have gone up consistently every month. And that's happened even now. Like, that's happening right now. Like through when she first started opening, when the restrictions were first lifted, when she opened in June, and until she closed just before the Christmas holidays in December, her numbers went up and up and up, and she had the best sales of her life during those times. And she said it's strictly video, because everybody comes in and says, I saw your video and I want this and I want that. And what's funny about the video is that you're kind of people are pre-shopping because they come in and they say, I saw this pillow in your video and I want that. Like on her opening day, she has botanical arrangements. They're like little wooden flower thingies, and she had them in this big vase, and there was people coming in going, okay, at like a minute 13 I saw this.
Where's the red vase?
Like,
where's the red
I want
vase?
this vase.
People were
fighting over it, and it was sold within the first 20 minutes she was open, and we're like, sorry, it's gone. And they're like, oh, darn it. But people are, you can kind of give people that opportunity through seeing what you sell with showing them. Right?
Yeah. And we pretty consistently get $100 ad spend, 15K or so views. And biggest thing is the difference that it's making in her actual business.
Yeah.
So this is the video that we showed you earlier. And the views, we were about 15,000 views on that video. And here's a little bit deeper dive into the stats. And this is one of the things that we love about Facebook and using Facebook to market these businesses using video is you get to see the numbers. You get to see how many people are seeing this thing. So in this case, we saw the 3-second views were 15,000, 10-second views, 7,400, 1-minute views, about 1,000 people. So we might go, well, geez, only 1,000 people are watching like a minute of it. But we look at that and go, 1,000 people. Like if you put 1,000 people in a room that were all similar demographic, interested in what she did, and wanted to hear from her, would she pay $100 to stand up in that room and talk to them for a minute? Heck yeah, right? That's going to definitely have an impact on her business or on your business, whatever your business is. She's seeing, a really, really nice return on this. So here's a little bit deeper dive into the ages, the demographics. So you can see her women target market here is she's all over it. Well, this is just the boosted part. Yeah. It's just showing us the paid numbers because we didn't want to pay to show it to men. Now, a lot of men saw it organically, but this is just showing you, especially in this 55 and up market demographic, you can see that's her people. Like those are the people that relate to her. Those are the people that want to buy the stuff that she sells. Those are the people that go in. Before COVID, she would measure her business in hugs. Like how many hugs did she get every day? And, all of this stuff just worked really well. Now, this is her market. That doesn't mean it's your market. Like you might be totally different. You might be like, hey, I need those 25-year-old dudes. Like they're the ones that I'm really targeting. Now, you might say, are they on Facebook? Maybe, maybe not. The numbers are that Facebook is still the place that we're getting the biggest numbers. But the one thing to be aware of is when Facebook bought Instagram a few years ago for $1 billion, they integrated them entirely into their ad platform. So these ads that we're showing here, and you can see the breakdown, it's not on this page, but you can go in and see it. This includes people seeing this on Instagram. So if you're saying, well, hey, where do I find these people? If they're on Facebook or Instagram, and chances are if they're alive, they're on Facebook or Instagram, then you're going to be able to get to them through this one targeted platform, which is absolutely incredibly valuable.
Yeah. One thing I'll note too, like you don't have to have an Instagram account. So if you just have a Facebook account and you don't have an Instagram account, it will still show as a sponsored post through Instagram when you boost your video on Facebook.
Yeah. So then here, this was a follow-up video, similar kind of thing, 13,000 3-second views. So this one actually had almost twice as many 1-minute views. Less people were interested in the COVID message. This one here was much more fall harvest, kind of how to make your home feel more like fall, that type of thing. Again, really, really strong views on this. Here you can see the response, like here the 55 and up women were all over this thing. It's like there's a good dad joke in there. I know Barb and Brianna were asking for a good dad joke. There's one in there. I'm going to just leave it alone. But you can see like the numbers. Here's the biggest thing.
This is exciting though.
Yeah. So this is her October 19th. This is her square, very scientific, high-tech phone grab of the page. This was her sales October 2019. So she had 93 sales, approximately $4,300. Okay, 1 year later, once we started integrating this every month video and including this one here that got that 15,000 or just under 15,000 views and close to 2,000 1-minute views. So that video resulted in this change. So her her number of sales, so her transactions went up by 50%. And you can see her gross sales went up by, what is that, about 60%, 65%? Like you can see, this is a big difference. Now,
so if we go back to, that statistic that we showed you at the beginning that said that using video will grow your business by 49%, that did it.
This is it.
Right there.
Yeah. And we didn't put them on here yet, but like her November numbers were, this past November was by far her biggest month ever. And that includes 2 previous Novembers that didn't have any kind of COVID restrictions, that type of thing. Her December was her best December ever. So these videos, time and again, are working over and over and over again. And when we talked about, using my mom's example, it might be like, well, that's kind of self-serving. But what we love about it is we know that her marketing strategy is entirely this. So she's not trying to figure out, are these other marketing things that I'm using, these other tactics, are they working, or is this working? Are they working together? How's that all working together? And that certainly will work. And depending on your business, all of those different elements may be really valuable to you. But in her case, it's not that. It's Facebook ads and the sign on the front of the window. That's it. So she knows when there's new people and she's asking them, and a lot of times she says she doesn't even have to ask them. They come in. We've had that where you've worked at the store and people are like,
Where's
hey,
Jean? You're not Jean. I want to talk to Jean.
I worked there once and
like,
they were
hey, I did the
totally
video,
out.
okay?
They were definitely not having it when I was there. But
we were there. We were there one day in like November, and there was these ladies at the front door, and they stopped. They opened up the door, and the one lady said, "Oh, I saw this store on Facebook. I saw a video from the store." So we were like, "Yes, that was like a nice win for us."
Worked well.
Yeah,
and they knew the tactics, or they knew the techniques of going in. Make sure they prefer you wear a mask, and that's exactly the wording that she said in it. Well, we prefer you wear, right? You heard it.
Yeah.
So that. The proof's in the pudding. That's the numbers, right? And we're not here to tell you that you should do Facebook videos and that's it. That's your whole marketing plan. But what we are here to tell you is if you need a simple plan, something that's going to work, that you're going to get good return on your investment, this is incredible. And obviously, we're not connected to Facebook. That'd be pretty amazing if we got some kind of royalty out of that. Yeah. But we've just seen the results over and over and over again with this business, with our other videos that we've done for local businesses here, with the realtors and other small business owners that we've used with this program. When you make these videos and you share them on social media and you promote them, you boost them or use Facebook Ads Manager to promote them, you can get incredible reach. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we're not really showing it in here, we dive into this in our courses, is video. There's something about video on Facebook in particular that you can't do with anything else. And Facebook can actually will measure how long people watch the videos. You can actually go back and build an audience out of just the people that have watched a certain amount of those videos. So when we saw that in October about 2,000 people watched a minute, well, we can actually go in and say, hey, for the last 6 months, can you just build an audience of just the people that have watched maybe a minute or 50% or 75% of these videos? Facebook, yep, we can do that. Then they're going to create an audience of just those people that are most engaged. So as an example, we didn't do it in this case, but we could, and we probably will with the next video. If you just wanted the COVID return to normal type of video just to go out to the people that usually come into your store, we'll just target that group. Then you're going to spend probably a lot less money. You probably spend $25 and get to all of them. So you've got all kinds of targeting that you can do right within Facebook and Instagram that lets you really hyper focus on certain people, and that only works with video. It doesn't work with photo posts, and we do a lot of photo posts for her as well. It doesn't work with text posts. It only works with video posts, but it definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah, because you can't tell how long somebody sat there and looked at a photo for. So, but you can do that with video, right? And also too, like, all the social media platforms now are integrating, so they are becoming video friendly. Like before, Instagram was just strictly photos. And then they got into, well, you can put up a 60-second photo or a 60-second video. Now you have Instagram TV,
stories,
so you
reels.
can actually show like a much longer video on there. So even Pinterest is like moving their platform to accommodate video now, just because it is so powerful. And they say that like by as early as, I think they were talking this year, 2021, that Facebook is going to be, one of the executives said that Facebook is going to be almost all video content as early as this year. So it just goes to show you the power of video. It does work. We're not making this up. It does work, and it's a great way to convey your message to somebody and get that, you know, kind of that, humanize it, get that contact in there even before they meet you, right? And it's a great way for somebody to say, hey, I just watched a video on this business, and you know, this person opened this business because of this, and this is what they like. You should have seen the stuff that was in this video, what they sell. And they talked about how, you know, it can make you feel so good if you go in there. So it's a great way to connect with somebody before they even set foot in your store, before they even meet you in person.
Yeah, for sure. So we promised that we would leave a little bit of time for questions. So I think we've done just about that. This was our high-reaching objective today, give you the confidence to create and share high-quality videos about your business. Hopefully we got close to that. Hopefully if you came in kind of a little bit unsure about how you were going to make videos, you know, can I make a video? Can I use my phone to make a video? What do I need to buy? What do I need to get? You don't need to get much. The tripod, mic, light, that kind of thing is going to help for sure, but you absolutely can do it with your phone. The key is make sure that you're telling a good story that people are gonna engage in. Yeah. Okay, so if you have questions, we'd be happy to take them. If you don't, then that means one of two things. Either we've completely tired you out here and we've given you so much information that you're overwhelmed, or
we're so good at this that you understand everything.
Yes, hopefully it's a bit more of that.
I'm gonna grab my chair here.
Hey, it's Brianna. I'm not sure if you answered this question or not, but it was regarding the app. Is it available on Android? I can't find it.
It definitely is available on Android. I see it says H. I don't know who H is. It sounds very mysterious.
I tried to look on it, and I have an Android myself.
Yeah.
I have an LG actually, and I can't find it.
No? Okay, let me just check it out here again. I haven't downloaded it in a little while, but it's definitely on there. Are you using a Samsung, or are you using a different type of Android?
I have an LG, and I looked on it with my phone, and I couldn't find it.
So let's go into the Google Play Store. Whoop. It's giving me movies. Maybe they pulled it down for some reason. So I went on here, so I'm getting it. I don't know if you can see this or not. It's probably not focusing on that because it's trying to focus on my face, but this is what it looks like.
Adobe Premiere Rush Video Editor is actually what it says. So maybe typing all of that in might help. Or
I
Adobe
did that
Premiere
on the Google Play Store. I don't know if that's where you're looking for it or not, but that's where I found it. So recommendation for apps other than Adobe Rush? Sure, so you're on Android. I would definitely recommend Adobe Rush, especially if you're thinking of editing on your phone. As far as others, we've used Filmora Go a little bit, didn't really love it. We've used on the desktop, we've used Premiere Pro, obviously, as we mentioned, but we've also used DaVinci Resolve a lot. It's really good. Steep learning curve, there's a lot to it there. If you're on an iPhone, iMovie's pretty good. Some of the things that we really like about Rush is it gives you the ability to stack your video tracks. And I don't want to lose you on this, but basically what that means is you can have multiple video tracks. So for instance, in the video that we showed you with the studio, there's parts where you can hear her still talking, but you're seeing other stuff from around the store. So you do that by stacking the video tracks. Not everything will let you do that. I think iMovie lets you stack 2, I believe. Rush lets you stack 4, so it gives you lots of room for titles and all that kind of stuff. Rush has a bunch of built-in animated titles, so if you just want to put in, you know, your name and your company or those kinds of things, it works really well. So we just in our training, we use Rush because the learning curve versus cost versus or along with cost and along with the powerful features in it, it's the hands down winner for us. So that's the one that we definitely recommend the most. Daniel.
Roughly how long of a duration would you recommend for videos just to keep things, keep people's attention?
Sure. So Angela likes those 4-hour Titanic movie type of videos.
I would say 1 to 2 minutes.
Yeah, typically you're going to be in that 1 to 2 minute range. One of the things that we say is as long as it's interesting for the viewer, because people will watch, you know,
A 5-minute video on puppies.
yeah, or the Tiger King, you can watch maybe for 10 hours or however long it goes. So as long as it's interesting and engaging, and most importantly, if it's helpful, like if they're getting something out of it. Now, having said that, as obviously we're really condoning or supporting the idea of putting your videos on Facebook and Instagram, typically people they didn't go there looking for your video, right? So they're kind of coming across it. Now you're asking to interrupt them for a little while. So yeah, that kind of 60 to 90, maybe 2 minutes. That's usually pretty good length. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to teach them how to do something or give them some other value that way, then you can probably extend it. But typically that would probably hold their attention that long. Let's see here. When I search for Rush on my Samsung, it's not there. But when I search on my laptop, it is. Okay.
That's puzzling.
That is a little puzzling. I know with Samsung there was a little issue there where are you using the S20? Let me know if you're using the S20, because I know for me the S20 was a issue for quite a while. They seem to have sorted it out now. Samsung, Daniel's got it on his. Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit older. I was just going to ask if it was an older Samsung.
Oh,
because that might be. I
don't know what the there is a compatibility thing. If you're seeing it on your laptop, you can see the compatibility there. That will give you a bit of an idea. It will tell you for sure if your phone's compatible or not. And they go through everything there. So if your phone's on there, 100% compatible. If it's not, maybe, but probably not. PCM's asking, KineMaster app? No. There's a bunch out there. A lot of them. I mean, video editing, it's pretty standard thing, right? Take all the clips, make an in and out point, put them together, add some stuff to it. So there's definitely some good apps out there. If you don't want to use the Rush one, if you have one already, use what you've got. Give that a try. See if you can get that working for you, and come up with a video. Especially for this initial, if you're putting together a video for the contest, then for sure that's going to be something that can really work well for you. But what we find with a lot of this stuff is it's like royalty-free music, the editing apps. It's all the same to us. Either you don't pay anything, get it for free, or get it for really super cheap, and it's a kind of a hassle to use. You kind of got to spend a lot of time to get it to work for you. Or you can spend a little bit of money and get the features, right? Get what you need. And royalty-free music is a great example. There's music out there that's free, costs you nothing, and for the most part, tracking it down and finding a track that's going to be good for your video and it's going to add to the message, the tune, the tone. It takes a long time. Or you can get on, we use some different programs like Soundstripe or Artlist, and we pay a subscription and we can get as much. Now, we make a lot of videos, so it makes sense for us. But we can just go on there, and usually within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we're finding perfect track to use for that. So a lot of times with this video editing, it's kind of that same type of thing. Canva, we haven't used Canva for video editing. No, I've used it a lot for making graphics and things like that. I don't think it's going to let you do this stacking your tracks, your editing and that kind of thing. It may let you just take a clip and kind of cut the beginning, cut the end, and then add some things to it. That's cool. And if it works, I guess what we would say is, if it works for you, go for it, right? Like, we're very much encouraging you to take your phone and make videos. We would encourage you to go and make one today, tonight, this evening, right? Because the sooner you use this stuff, the more it's going to stick. And as opposed to, well, I can't make it because I don't have Rush. No. Yeah. Or I can't make it because I don't have the iPhone 12. No, go out and make a video. You probably have everything you need to do it.
Yeah, these are just suggestions for you. There's something that we've taken and we thought, Rush, we find, in our opinion, is the easiest for us to teach, because it's cross-platform, that sort of thing, because of the capabilities that it has, but with the easier learning curve to it. That's why we like it. But we're not here to complicate things for you. If you find something else, like we have lots of students that have come through our program that said, yeah, I don't use Rush, I use iMovie. Okay, if that works for you, that's great. All we care about is that you're making videos and that you're growing your business, right?
Yeah.
That's our main concern. So whatever's going to work for you.
Yeah, and the other thing is we've had thousands of students this past year take our training, our courses. So we know we're going to get a lot of questions, right? So we want to make sure that we get fewer questions, especially the same question. And usually when we do, we just answer it, in our private Facebook group or something so that anybody that's struggling with it will get it. But we also want them to be able to not get hung up, stop and go, I don't know where to go from here. I need this question answered before I can move on. We know that's maybe going to get in their way of making a video. So it's sort of self-preservation too. We want to give you the best tool to make sure that you're getting that thing right. Yeah. So Kim is asking, iPhone 7, MacBook Pro, what format will the final video be in to upload? So if you mean... you're probably using an MP4. Typically when we export videos, they're MP4s. They upload really clean to YouTube, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And MP4s kind of have a nice combination of file size versus quality. So kind of like JPEGs do for photos, they kind of compress it and make it smaller so it's a little bit easier to upload. But MP4 tends to work pretty well. With Rush, for example, when you export it, it gives you some options. We typically go with the default, just export it the way it is. For your iPhone 7, the file formats that it makes, I believe are MP4s as well, but either way, it'll work in whatever you're using. Yeah, every editing.
So that's good for the YouTube or the Facebook or...
Yep. Twitter, LinkedIn, Friendster, if that's still around.
Friendster.
Probably not. MySpace. Dating myself now.
MapQuest.
Brianna's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I throw out MapQuest every once in a while just to throw my kids
He's like,
off.
do you want to MapQuest that? I'm like, what? Like Google Maps?
It's good fun. Yeah, no, it'll work. That's the cool thing too. A lot of this stuff now, you don't even have to think about that stuff anymore, Kim. It basically it works. Usually, occasionally it doesn't, and that's when we get the call or the email or the frantic Facebook message saying, what's happened? Sorry. This format doesn't work, but for the most part. One other cool thing that Rush does, and I know some other editing programs do as well, is you can export in square or in
landscape, vertical.
In vertical, like portrait mode. So if you're uploading a story or those kinds of things. Now, typically, as Angela said, we recommend you film in landscape mode. That's still going to be the most often seen format, but sometimes filming in that format and then editing in a square video to upload to Facebook or Instagram can be valuable. So with those tools, you can just change them and do that as well.
Aaron, one quick question.
Yeah, for sure.
If I may be a little bit off this to the side, and please tell me if it is. But when you make me a video and you say, don't sell, I get that. It's a nice thing to say there. But if you don't have a storefront like your mom and you're trying to drive traffic through your video, do you suggest is there some sort of optimum way to do that?
Well, first of all, tell us what are you selling, or what's your sort of
Well, actually, we just started on behalf of a client of mine, and I'm a little more engaged in this. It's O'Brien's of Bancroft. It's coffee and tea. Damn fine coffee and tea.
Yeah.
So we're just now getting into some grocery stores, but we want to develop the online sales platform. We've got a little website going there, but we don't really have an e-commerce platform as such.
Gotcha. Okay.
That will come, and in fact, this is very good timing for us. So the video storytelling and the Facebook ads is exactly what we're trying to figure out right now.
Yeah.
But it's just when and how much do you invest in an e-commerce platform, and so I'm not sure if we need to do that right away or.
Yeah. So my suggestion would be Peter, right? See the puppies in the background there.
I know.
They look like they're coming in for to hang out. Peter, my suggestion would be a little bit around the sort of the story of it, right? Like like just as an example, and I don't know enough about that brand to say it, but you know, look at other things that are kind of similar, but they figure out how to market them differently. So beer is a great example, right? So beer is generally the same kind of thing. Like it's a beverage, typically cold. Obviously there's a huge dynamic between, you know, like a Pilsner and a stout and all those kinds of things, but it's still kind of the same thing. So a lot of times what they'll do when they're marketing that stuff is kind of get into a little bit of the lifestyle stuff or a little bit of the story stuff. In that case, I would probably talk a little bit about how did they come up with this? Why are they doing this? Like like some of those questions that we had early. Why do we need more coffee and tea? Like what's different about the way that they're going to do it than, say, if you go to Starbucks and get that, or if you get a different type of brand? What's different about it? And what we think that does is that gets the people that care about that to kind of maybe put their hand up and go, well, wait a minute, tell me a little bit more about that. And that's where the retargeting stuff's going to work really well. I don't know if you've worked much with that stuff, but with video, that's going to probably work really well for you.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much. I'll probably take it offline and talk to you a little more.
Sure.
There's different kinds of teas too. So like talking about maybe like the difference between them, what's in this one, you know, are there teas have different caffeine levels, thank you, as well. So maybe there's, you know, a nighttime tea that, you know, relaxes you before bed, as opposed to, you know, a high caffeinated tea that will get you up and going in the morning, or different flavors of tea, green tea versus, you know, a black tea or a white tea.
How does it make the customer feel?
Yeah.
Right. And that's like with the studio, with the Simon Chang color of the year, Honey I'm Home color. Okay, big deal. Who cares? It doesn't matter to me. But then you go, well, wait a minute though. January is, it can be kind of blah, right? It can be kind of, boy, I wish we could travel. I'd love to go away, right? And we can't really right now. So something like that might make me go, hey, you know what? Having that candle or a little bit of that color or something into my home, that's going to help give me that feeling a little bit. So that's the one thing we always go back to is, how will it make that client, customer, end user, how will it make them feel? And if you can kind of help them understand how that'll make them feel, then they kind of reverse step it to, okay, I better go to your store and buy this thing, right?
Yeah. Even showing somebody making a tea and like, you know, the process around it, and curling up on a couch, you know, drinking a tea and feeling all warm and cozy might help portray how you would feel if you were drinking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.